Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining, Abdi. Abdi Tamincia is your name? Is that
yes
pronunciation?
Yes.
There you
Yes.
go. Yeah, I'm winning the game today on the pronunciations. I'm not doing too bad. Hopefully, I will just get better with time, because we have today Abdi with us. We'll be talking about real-time switching, so going back and forth between gamification and simulation. Now, as you remember, perhaps from earlier, I was mentioning, that there might be differences in terms and how we use these. Well, this could be an interesting one to look into as well. Abdi is the president of MonsoonSIM. So, Abdi, I leave you with the audience. They're all yours. Hopefully, everybody will be enjoying themselves with your talk as well. See you in a bit.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, everyone. My name is Abdi. Can you all hear me? Yes? I think so. Yeah, good. Thank you. Okay, so hello from down under. I'm in Western Australia. It's evening here. So let me just share my screen. I believe I can share my screen now. All right, there you go. Can you see my screen now? I have to assume.
Yes, we can. We're seeing it right now. You
Great.
can certainly close that one.
Great. You're looking at my screen. Yes. So happy that. Okay. So do you mind if I just go ahead and start this presentation? Because I think I have quite a bit to cover.
Please, you have less than 45 minutes now, so go ahead.
Good. All right, I'm going to talk about experiential learning, and it is gaming and learning by gaming, learning by doing, and learning by experiential and self-exploration, self-directed learning, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So what are we doing here? We are here to transform the way you teach. So instead of teaching with theory, learners conduct self-directed learning through simulation and gamification. So this is a platform where you can mix and match, simulation and gamification, and switch to simulation. So instead of creating course content, you just configure the course and to suit your training needs. Instead of being a teacher, you are now a facilitator or an advisor or a choreographer or a moderator, or what do you call that? Motivator. And then we are here also to transform the way they learn. They, in this case, is the student or the learners or your employees. So instead of learning by remembering, they're learning by doing, exploring. Instead of learning by e-learning, PowerPoint, they learn by practicing and experimenting. So in MonsoonSIM, this is the platform that we have. There's a little boxes here. Never mind those for now. The big picture is that you are the facilitator here, and you are able to configure the business environment into various business scenarios, and you allow your learners to learn. Yeah? So the contents are already there, and you just have to mix and match and throw out as a business scenario environment, and the learners have to adapt to the environment and play a game, and in the process learn some wonderful business concepts. Again, why teach like this when learning can be like that? Yeah. So a little bit more detail now. What we have done is we've digitized hundreds of business concepts, and these are the concepts. We call them micro concepts, and they are categorized as the following: finance, procurement, retail, marketing, planning, etc., etc. What are those micro concepts? Just take some examples. Let's take finance, for example. We're talking cash on hand. We're talking profit. We're talking operating expense, equity, and so on. And for procurement, let's talk about like discount, payment terms, lead time, vendor management, and so on. So every concept has a lot of micro concepts. Yeah. And what do we do with these micro concepts? We allow the facilitator to let the learners learn those concepts in a horizontal learning model, where the learners will learn from left to right. They are never going to learn on a vertical basis. It's always on a horizontal basis, right? So it's horizontal learning experience. So it's packaged into fun, exciting games for all levels. Now, the beginners, of course, then they will learn just the surface of the business. What are the surface concepts for the business? Very simple: sales, profit, cost, etc. Those are the very basic fundamental business concepts. And then when they play the game a little bit, the second time, for example, then they will learn more concepts. And if they learn more, if they play more games, then they will learn a lot more concepts. So the concepts are hidden in the game, but they will only appear to the student as they become more familiar with the game. And they start to ask questions, critical questions, and where they start critical thinking, and they will discover those very critical concepts. And of course, the teacher or the trainer can also uniquely configure all sorts of games. So you can have a game, let's say, based on e-commerce and service management, or you can just have a retail business with some maintenance and so on. So you can mix and match, and you can focus on certain concepts. So if you say, today I just want to focus on the sales side, tomorrow I want to focus on the marketing side, and the next day I want to focus on the logistics side, you can do so. Back to the reason why we do this is, why study like this if real work is like that? Because when they go into the marketplace, when they go into the industry, learning, what they learn will never be working in silo. It's always in integration with other aspects of business. So they have to mix it up when they go out into the industry. So they have to be adapted. So a little bit more now. Remember those little boxes? So here they are. So these are the micro concepts, and this is the environmental management, and then we have the simulation outcome, and then we have the simulation configuration. Let's take a look at one by one in a little bit more detail now. For environmental management, what the teacher or what the motivator or what the facilitator can do is you can set the timing and the tempo. You are in control, yeah? And you control how many players in a team, how many teams, and so on. And you can control the robots. So if you can, second some robots into the game, so the robots can challenge the human, as well as, work together with other humans to challenge other robots and other humans. So there are robots that you can apply into the game. And then we have live chats, of course, very good in this pandemic. And then we have the configuration sharing. So let's suppose you configure your game into such a game that you find it very, very useful. Let's say you find it very, very exciting. This is a very good for teaching students that are, not very, the game is focused on cash flow, for example. Then you can share your configuration with other facilitator that is using MonsoonSIM. There are like 1,000, more than 1,500 out there globally, and you can share your configuration with them, or you can use their configuration. Yeah. So then we have a series of configuration that we package into what we call course. So a course can have series of this little configuration, which you can step by step go through it, from a very fundamental concept to a very advanced concept. And we also have this boss. This is called virtual teaching assistant. The boss is actually an AI that will help the student along when they play the game. So you don't have to. So when they play the game, you can always turn on the boss, and the boss will appear on their screen, and they will tell them, for example, oh, you have this capacity problem, or you have this cash problem, or beware, you are about to run out of cash, you run out of capacity, your productivity is terrible, and so on. So the boss is going to advise them. At the same time, the boss is going to report back to you about the status of the game for each of the player. So it's the boss will help you as a teacher, as well as help the student as a learner. We'll see the action, we'll see some boss action later in a live demo. Then we have also simulation configurations. These are the things that you can configure in MonsoonSIM. You can configure the customer, the supplier, product, service, or warehouse. You can change all this. Yeah, you can change the product to juice. You can use chocolate. You can choose coffee. You can sell shoes. You can sell cars. You can change the e-commerce location. You can play, a game in Europe or in Central Asia or in South Asia or in Central Europe. You can do that. And you can change the attribute of the employees, the machinery, the currency that you use, the bank attributes, the financial crisis. You can configure a crisis into the game, and you can define all that stuff, and then the environment and so on. So these are the things that you can configure. Now, outcomes, which is very important, right? At the end of the day, we're talking about education. So the outcomes are many things. There are KPI targets that you can set, and those are the real target. And then you can have the scoring metric, which is a relative strength, to see how they par against the others. And then you have this KPI monitoring, live monitoring, so you can make it a spectator game. For example, you can watch it online and so on, and stream it in YouTube, etc. You can also have the full game report, etc. And the outcome also can be tapped using a lot of third-party data analytic tools, such as R, such as Tableau, such as Power BI. Tap into the game live, and then you can design your dashboard. You can design your executive system, etc. Okay, so this is the screen that I've captured as a typical screen is like this. Yeah. So here we have it, financial, procurement, retail, marketing, and so on. So right now we are just playing a financial modules, right? And here's a team and so on. Now, here is where we set up the team and the learners. So we can have 10 teams, and each team can have 10 learners. So every session we can have up to 100 students participating. And each team is a virtual company. So this could be, Coca-Cola. This could be, Pepsi-Cola. So they can be competing. Yeah. And then you can also, set the robot. Earlier I mentioned robot. Here you can see that, a couple of robots here, and then you can use the robot to compete against the other human. Yeah. So that is the very simple screenshot that I have just captured for you. And also, here's the courses that we have mentioned earlier. So there's a lot of courses in the system that you can just pick and run, right? And the course comes with the setting, comes with the scoring outcomes, comes with all the presentation course, the materials, so you can just load it up and use it. For example, you can use the system to load up this course, and then you can show the materials. So as a facilitator, all the materials are already given to you. You can just click, and then you can show the process, for example. All right, then here we have the outcomes, which you can use to observe and measure assess the learning. Then this is the complete picture of the MonsoonSIM coverage. Yeah, it covers, all this. Of course, this is the full-blown coverage. You have warehouse, production, retail, e-commerce, services, and so on. Right? Now, you don't have to start with this. You can start very simple, and then you can move along. You can add on as you go along, depending on the maturity of the students, yeah? And their readiness. So, for example, you can start with a very simple setup like this. There's a vendor, and there's a retail store, and that's it. Right? For this particular setup that you have just set, the students are actually able to learn revenue, overhead, purchasing, profit, and capacity just from this simple scenario. And when you add things like loan, for example, then they will learn more, such as liabilities, current ratio, credit rating, bankruptcies. Yeah, and then if you add, say, marketing, then they will learn marketing ROI, competitors' impact, etc. And then if you want to really give them more, you can add logistics. Then they will learn logistics, the wholesale, the allocation concept, etc. So as you can see, it's horizontal learning, and it is step-by-step evolving concepts. Yeah. It's called experience build-up. So if you turn on all the modules, then this is what you have, the whole lot. Another example, a small retail business what are they learning? The student will learn things like revenue, cost of goods sold, trading profit, operating expense, EBITDA, and so on. Now, let's say retail business plus loan, then they will learn loan amortization, short-term liability, credit rating, etc. And then you can have a manufacturing company, for example. Then what are they learning in this case? Then they learn things like bill of material, the buffer stock, the production cost concept, the asset depreciation, disposal, etc. Now, if you want to make it more fun, you can add human resource into your game. Then the student will learn what is the payroll tax, and then they have to learn the personality factor, the competency matching, the transfer, counseling, resigning. They're all HR concepts. Want to make it more fun? Give them crisis. Yeah, then the student will learn how to navigate out of crisis. They can define the crisis at, what is a recovery? Is it U-shape, V-shape, L-shape, W-shape? And then you can have, what sort of attributes in the crisis? What is the impact? Is it currency crash? Is it tight money policy? Is it diminishing demand? Is it logistics? There's a strike somewhere in Long Beach, and so on. And, the oil crisis, for example. So the student will have to face that and navigate out of the situation and from where they learn. So once again, MonsoonSIM is where you, as a teacher, you configure the scenario and let students learn. And what can they learn, right? These are the things that you can use MonsoonSIM in accounting, in business analytics, in economics, and so on. Yeah, so these are all the subjects where you can use MonsoonSIM. Okay. And these are some of the universities that are using MonsoonSIM. Currently, we have about 260 universities globally using it, and there's about 1,400 certified facilitators that runs MonsoonSIM daily. And there's nothing to install, right? There is nothing to prepare. It is 24/7, 365, all in the cloud. So there is no app to install. There's no download needed. Just use any Chrome, any browser, and that's it, Wi-Fi. So the differentiator, I would like to say this as a summary, is that what is the difference between MonsoonSIM and other simulation game? I think the main thing that I like to start with is that there is a multiple teaching modes here. There are two modes at least. There's gamification and simulation, and you can intermix them. And there's AI virtual teaching assistant that will help the student. And then we have robot learner. And then we have learner level is, you can go all the way from middle school, high school, undergrad to graduate school. And the configurator is extremely configurable. It's very easy to run, very easy to teach. All right, knowledge to term, learning outcome, and so on. Okay, so let me just go to this. And by the way, just a special offer for this particular event. If you contact Anissa at monsoonsim.com, we are going to give you free one-day training and certification. And we'll send you the schedules. So hopefully you can join, at least, join and kick the tires and see if you can use it in your training and education needs, or just use it for comparison with other simulation. All are welcome, yeah? And after that one-day certification, you'll be able to create and facilitate games for your learners, okay? So this is the special program that we are launching for this event. All right, so that's my presentation, the theory side. Any questions? Maybe I just ask if there's any question before I proceed with the live demo.
I would say go ahead with the demo. We've had some participation on the chat, but no formal questions. So Abdi, we're all ears here and eyes.
Good. Now I'm going to start a game. Yeah. So this is my live presentation. So now as a teacher, oops, sorry, log in. Yeah. All right. So now I can create a game. Game and facilitate. These are all the games that I have run so far. So I'm going to create a new game. These are all my colleagues, yeah. So they all share the same server. That's why I can see my colleagues, what they run, and so on. So I'm going to be brave and use the latest version, right? Hello World. It's not even launched yet, but this is the first time we're going to preview the latest version. Okay, this is the first. By the way, this is not officially launched at all, right? So, but we are confident enough to just go ahead with it. But normally it's version 9. This is what we are right now. Everybody's running on version 9, but I'm just going to go ahead and show you the version 10. So let's have a game title. What is the game today? Let's call it Game for Fun. Yeah. What an inspiring name. But anyway, I will select my server. So all of you, you have your own server, yeah, your universities. So you know, university. Now the reason why I can see all the universities, of course, because we sometimes have to do maintenance, and I belong to the lab, so I should be able to use to be able to access all your servers just for supporting preference. Okay, so location preference, I'm not going to set anything. So this is, no, sorry, I'm going to use version 8.1. My bad. This is the RFA. Okay, sorry. So game for fun. This is actually version 10, but in disguise. All right. So pardon me. I'm going to select my game, my server. Oh my God, where is it? Okay, bear with me. I'm going to use my lab server. There you go. All right, so I can run a game in Australia, in the Balkans, in Germany, Hong Kong, Southeast Asia, Taiwan, etc. So I'm going to run a game in Germany, yeah? So everybody, you know, so we have this German attributes, the cities, the buying power, the population, etc. All right, so I'm going to turn on the chat, and I will turn on the boss, which is, this is the AI that will teach both the teacher as well as me as the trainer. So the game is now set up. That's it. So the game is there, game for fun, and that's me. I'm going to run it in the game server. And there we have it, the game, right? Now here I can start to have, I can create teams. So for example, we have team 1, team 2, team 3. Let's say I'm going to create 3 teams. Oops. Team 3. I'm really taking a chance on the version 10 because I'm quite confident that it will run quite nicely. All right, so let's be brave here. Team 3. There you go. So I have team 1, team 2, team 3. All right, so now I'm going to put in a couple of robots here. Robot 1, robot 2. Yeah, so the robots are, they are able to do transactions, they are able to read the market, and then they will make some decision on their own. And on here, I will put in some virtual learner. These are not intelligent. So these virtual learner, they're there just for comparison, just for teaching purposes, right? So these are robot and these are virtual learner. Now here I can invite you guys to come in, right? But I think we can leave it for the workshop or for the certification. So in the certification, obviously, then you come in and then we can play a game. Now we have 3 teams, yeah? So what do? I'm going to start with, let's say, I'm going to turn on procurement. Yeah, I'm going to turn on retail. Yeah, let's just start with 4 modules, simple modules. All right, so let's take a look at something, you know, about the game, about the situation. So let's look at the location map. We have the following cities that we can operate in. We have Berlin, we have Frankfurt, we have Hamburg, and we have this population, and then we have the rental space, the amount of money to rent. The retail obviously is more expensive than the warehouse. Yeah, so you see the retail is 52 per day, and this is $5 a day, €5 a day. Now, so we have the location. Then let's take a look at how much money we have. We can look at it. Okay, we have 3.5 million euro, and then we have overdraft limit of 2.5. These are all the configuration that I can set. Yeah. Now I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to do anything, but I just want to show you that these are the configurations that you can set. For example, loan now is not allowed, but if I were to let you play the loan, then I'll just turn it on. So then you have the loan. Then we have the overdraft interest, depreciation method, the accounting rules, and a lot of other stuff that I can configure. Yeah. So never mind all that. Let's just suffice to know that there is a lot of configuration and you can drill down and explore. So with that, I can run the game. Yeah. So I'm going to initialize the game and I can run. Now also, the fun part of MonsoonSIM is you can look at each and every one of your student screen. So if I want to look at what AniBot is looking, I just simply click AniBot, and this is what AniBot is looking at exactly. This is what AniBot is looking at. So if I were to look at what DoSIM is looking at, I just simply click DoSIM, and this is what DoSIM is looking at. Now, as you can see, everybody starts equal, yeah? So everybody has the cash on hand 3.5 million, and then you have this overdraft limit, and so on. These are all the explanation. Yeah, if you don't know what is this, you just simply click here, and there's a help here. Okay, so I will start the game. Suppose I run the game for 130 days, let's say 20 seconds per day. The reason why I make it 20 seconds, it seems very fast, but because this is a demo, right? So it doesn't matter. I think we can do it a little bit faster. Yeah, but normally when there's a real student playing, I would recommend 40 seconds per day or 50 seconds per day. But because it's a demo, I'm going to run at 20 seconds. So it's a bit fast, yeah? So bear with me. So the game is now running. Yeah, so it's day one. So it's countdown 120 days. So what can I do as a student? Obviously, there is explanation behind this. Then you can pull up the PowerPoint and show, but I'm not going to do that because, let's just dive into the game, right? Let's just dive into the game. So as a student, look at this, right? The boss is telling me, you have no retail store, set up a store now. Yeah, so there is an explanation. So the boss is trying to tell me what to do. And I can even ask them to tell me how to do it, and so on. There's a guide that's directed. Now I can also do the chat and so on, but forget the chat for now. Now in retail, what can I do? So I look at my location, and here are my cities. Yeah. So suppose I want to rent a space in, say, okay, yes, I'm gonna say Berlin. All right. Okay. And I rented a space in Berlin my Berlin has been set up. So the store in Berlin has been set up. So now I can see that I have a store in Berlin. So what can I do now, having a store in Berlin? So now I'm paying 2,600 of rental per day. So if I look at my finance, I start to accumulate some costs. Yeah, look at my cost, operating expense. So now there is cost now, rental expense, 5,200. Now, if I were to look at other team, same thing. Yeah, if I look at the robot, now I jump to the robot and take a look at it. Okay, so the robot actually has started 2 stores, Hamburg and Berlin. Yeah, so the robot now, because as I said, robot, they know their situation, so they're really executing the running the business. So now I'm going to back to myself, which is I'll select just DoSIM. I'm just a virtual learner. Okay, so here we are in Berlin. Now, what can I do? I'm going to procure something. So I can buy some finished goods into Berlin. Let's say I have 2 vendors. Say I buy from vendor 1 and Berlin. Let's say I buy 50,000 of each juice, apple juice, melon juice, and orange juice, and immediate delivery. And let's have a look. Now I have to approve, and let's see what happens. So in a few days, you should see that I should start selling, because right now, look at my inventory is 0. Yeah, my inventory is 0 now. And let's just wait. When the product comes in, then it will fill up, and then I will start to have some revenue. Notice right now I don't have revenue. Now I don't have to do anything to the screen, right? Everything is self-updating, right? I don't have to click or refresh the screen. So let's just wait for the vendor to deliver. Now the vendor has delivered successfully. on day 10. Now look at that. My Berlin, I have orange juice, apple juice, and melon juice. I ordered 50,000, but right now it's 49,000. Why? Because it has been sold. So now I'm starting to sell, you see? So I can look at how much I'm selling. So if I look at my sales, for example, retail, if I look at my units sold, this is how much I'm selling per day. Yeah. Every day I'm selling until I run out of stock. So what do? I better replenish and so on. So this is where the student will start to learn the concept of replenishment and the logistic and the supply chain. Yeah. And then you can look at that, and then you can see the cash situation. So you can even look at the cash situation. So look at what's my cash right now, cash on hand. And you can see that your cash is going down because you just made a big purchase. And why is it going up? The reason why it's going up is because you're selling. That's why your cash is accumulating, right? From the retail customer that come to buy. So that's where you get your sales and buy. So you can also compare your cash on hand with, let's say, your net profit, for example. You can look at that, and this is what happened. Yeah, as your cash, as you start to accumulate, then you initially you run at a loss, but now you're accumulating your profit because you're selling, right? Because the cost is definitely lower than your price. So therefore, you are making a profit for every juice that you sell. Now you can further analyze your situation. You can look at your units sold, accumulated units sold, and you can look at a lot of other things. You can look at the efficiency, your price, your margin, for example. What's my margin? Yeah. Okay, so that's my margin. Now 52%, quite not bad, right? But if I were to raise the price, for example, I can raise the price. Okay, so I can, for example, go to location rental and change the price. Show the price, and I want to up the price. There you go. I'm just changing the price. So now the price is being changed. So by the next day, you see, the price has been updated. So from 26, now I have raised up 29. So that's how the students start to understand a little bit by a little bit. First, they understand sales, and then they start to understand what's the concept of price versus demand versus supply. And then they also understand the impact of price increase over the unit sold. And then they start to understand a more complex concepts such as price elasticity, etc. Right? So every day, new records are coming in, and I can see. Yeah. So every day I'm selling, for example, day 17, I'm selling 649 unit of apple juice. And on day 18, I'm selling 725, etc., etc. Now, sometimes the sales drops, for example. Then the student have to ask the question, why is my sales drop from 17 to 18? There's a number of reasons. So that's where they have to find out, right? Is it because you run out of stock? Is it because your colleague or your teammate suddenly raise the price, or is it because there is competitor coming into your market? Because if a competitor comes to the market, then the market share will be divided equally into how many players in the market. For example, in Berlin, right? How many people are operating in Berlin? So it affects. So everything is all related, but it's just a matter of time for the student to find out, right? So that is where that's where you got you got location, rental, procurement, and then you can go into something more advanced, such as if I give them forecast, for example, then they will be able to see what's the forecast. See, forecast. They can see the demand, the retail demand. Oh, okay. On day 32, there's a huge upswing on the retail. What do? Right? So some student who are going to say, look, we better stock up, which is a good idea, right? But how much do you stock up, right? You have to understand what's the difference between, the units, the demand here and the demand here. So from there, you should find out, and then you have to work back because there's a lead time coming from your vendor. So you have to think all that into account, right? And also look at your cash situation, right? If you don't have enough cash, you can't do it. Right? So even if you like to sell more, but you don't have cash, you can't buy it. Because if you do, then the vendor are not going to take, because it's a COD situation, cash on delivery. Now, unless you play a cool role, then you have a vendor credit limit and so on. Now things become complicated, right? But let's not go that way. Let's just stay on the simple one. So these are some of the very basic concepts that the student will start to learn. And then, of course, they can move their stock. They can start moving from, for example, I want to move from Berlin to somewhere else. Now, in this case, there's no other location. But if I have another location, then I can move. Yeah, and then I can pack and so on. How many packs that I want to move? So, you know, in the meantime, we can look now. Day 18. Now, okay, I set it stop. So now it stop at day 18. Now, as a teacher, earlier I mentioned there's a lot of things that I can look. I can, you know, discover. For example, I can look at the scoring metric. Let's compare margin. Let's suppose margin is my absolute score today. The guy with the highest margin got 100 points, for example. So in this case, who's winning? Team 3, right? Team 3 is winning. Now, suppose I say, okay, I'm going to say margin is good, but I also want sales. Yeah. And I'm going to give them 50-50, right? The weighing is 50-50. Now, in this case, then, team 2 wins, right? So in terms of margin, team 3 wins, but in terms of revenue, team 2 wins. So it all depends on what context are you teaching. Yeah, so the student will start to have a lot of idea, not just, you know, not just profit. Sometimes you just want them to go for sales. Sometimes you want them to be aggressive. Sometimes you want them to be conservative. Sometimes you don't want to, you know, them to take too much risk, etc. So you can tweak this, right? You can say, okay, what is my inventory utilization, for example? If I add utilization, let's say 30, 30, and 40, right? 30, 30, and 40, what would be the outcome? Who's winning in this case? Aha, team 2. Because the space utilization, team 2 is also very strong. Okay, so how is it so far? Is it clear? That's you know, a simple demo that I have. I think I should stop and then take some questions.
That is looking very, very good. In fact, there were a few questions that your representatives have been answering as well on the chat. I don't know if there's any of those that you want to highlight. I know, let me go back to these. There was somebody asking, let me actually, I'm going to show it right there. They were mentioning who has been creating these modules. These, for example, the finance module and the other modules. They're asking about who has been involved in this creation. Maybe that's a good question for you to take on, sort of live.
Okay, so we we developed all these concepts from best practice, right? So it is actually based on a best practice ERP concepts, an enterprise resource planning concept. So we built a game around this best practice concept. Yeah. So for example, the accounting is based on IFRS, the International Financial System. And so your logistic is also based on the best practice logistics. Probably, I think it's very similar to things like in SAP and Oracle and so on. But this platform is product agnostic. There is no dependency on any product. So it is fully simulated situation. Okay, so I think the answer is that the modules are being developed over the years by our, basically that's from our lab. In some of the concepts are in collaboration with other universities. Does that answer the question?
Well, I think it does for me. I'm guessing that it does as well for Kerem, who was the one asking, and perhaps other people were thinking about this as well. Let me see if there was some other question, at least that stood out for me, that somebody, well, Kerem was initially asking, how do you select which are the ones? And I think you mentioned it as well, that you are, as a facilitator or as the person who is actually guiding the students. You are the one to decide which ones do you include.
Yes, Rob.
If there's any other questions, and of course, if there is anything else, it's the perfect time right now to make those questions in the chat so that we can highlight them and bring them forth for Abdi to answer right now, right here, live. I'm sure, Abdi, actually, maybe it could be a good time while we get some questions for you to share where we can perhaps connect with you later and make you any further questions. Maybe it could be a good time for that.
Yes, my name is, my email is abdi@monsoonsim.com, and my colleague here is anissa@monsoonsim.com. I'm going to share the email again. As I said, we have a very special offering here. There is no cost involved. In fact, we will give you one-day training and get you certified. So not just playing as a student, but you will also be able to run games after this. And the server will be active for 3 months, and you can use that 3 months to kick the tires, to run some games with your colleagues, run some games with your students or your teammates. Yeah, so please contact anissa@monsoonsim.com and we'll send you the training schedules.
That is absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing that with all the participants here on the Gamification Europe 2022. I'm sure Pete will be very happy that all of these participants are getting extra value thanks to Abdi for sharing this.
Thank
I don't
you.
know, there seem to be very positive comments, very interested people in the MonsoonSIM in general, all the things that you're doing. I think it was a very, very interesting chat. For myself, I've been working with Sims for quite a while as well. So it was very, very personally interesting to me as well. However, we have maybe 1 or 2 minutes. If there's any final question, it's a perfect time now. If we don't, we might be going directly straight off into our networking session for those who have registered as participants to Gamification Europe. Pete,
Rob,
yes.
if you don't mind, I think one of the key things that I should present, and I should do it now. Just give me a half a minute to present, because I'm going to show you how to mix simulation and gamification. Yeah. So let's say we run a game so far, and then we want to switch to game simulation. Then all I have to do is to click here, start a demo mode, and now I'm in demo mode. So now I can run as though I'm the student, and without affecting the data. So once I do the simulation at the end of it, so I can do on behalf of the student and show the student certain concept. Now, once I'm done with that, all I have to do is to end the demo, and then I'm back to the game, and the data will be preserved. There you go. So that's how I switch between gamification and simulation. And now I'm back to gamification. That's all.
There you go. There you go. So you have available a demo to be showing it to your students live in class. Thank you very much. Thank you, Abdi. Thank you as well to your representatives. Anissa was there. I think there was somebody else as well helping support all of this. So thank you very much for this very strong activity. Usually I'd be looking at the chat and bringing up questions to you, but it seems your team was taking care of business. So thanks again, Abdi.